Well, hello, Glue Troopers. Max and Max's Models here, and today we're going to talk about the Atlantis Lockheed C-141A Starlifter, which is in 1 to 108 scale. This is a reproduction of the old Aurora kit, which came out in 1969. Atlantis does reuse some of the later Aurora box art, although they also have a beautiful photo of it on back, built up and looking great. And this kit has 43 parts. It comes bagged. You also get a nice decal sheet, actually excellent decals, and some promotional material. The kit itself, like I said, is bagged. It comes with a instruction sheet, nice photo on front, very easy dual frame exploded diagram, and it also comes with an excellent paint guide. Now, these are not the only options for painting this model, but they're two of the more populars, and you have the option of decals for both. The kit itself, when you spread it out, it's, as I said, just a reproduction of the Aurora kit with the exact same 43 parts, although the mold's a little bit flash, but not bad. It came out really nice, really easy to work with. The first thing you're going to do with this kit is attach the inside of the wheel wells to the fuselage. If you are planning to make it wheels down, you don't have to do this. If you're going to make it with the doors closed, the wheels up. I plan to make it wheels down, so I got myself some 44 caliber slugs to tape up and glue into the nose with CA glue and make sure it was not a tail sitter. Although with this airplane, it wouldn't sit very far on its tail. The Lockheed cargo planes are all pretty squat on the ground. But anyway, took care of that. And the fuselage has, to being typical of the 1969 Aurora kit, not the greatest fit. Little trouble getting everything to line up and try to get a tight seam. And in the process, I wound up grabbing the wheel wells because they make a natural grab point, and I pushed one of them out of place. This meant that I had to pull the fuselage housing parka back, resecure it, sand down the areas that it had glue, and rebond it. Wasn't the biggest setback on earth, just a little annoying. So next time I put some tape over the wheel wells to make sure I didn't grab them there. And again, I found rubber bands were the best way to hold the fuselage together, and clamps. There's enough flex in the plastic that if you try to use clamps, assuming you've got a clamp that could actually get around something that big, it's not going to work that well. But rubber bands work perfectly. Clamps on the tail. And while that was going on, I put the wings together. Again, very straightforward. To the upper wings, one piece, and you have the two lower sections. And the engines were next. 4 pieces per engine, and they are labeled left side, right side, or excuse me, inboard, outboard. The landing gear doors are labeled left side, right side. But one thing you'll want to do is keep them separate so you don't get them mixed up. The exhaust pipe has to go in when you put the nacelle halves together, but the turbine blades can go in anytime you want. They can drop in from the front. There is a hole in the bottom if you want to mount a stand on it. You can buy one of the Atlantis stands. It does not come with it. But the seams were pretty big and noticeable top and bottom. So there was a lot of putty and sanding, a lot of wet sanding. But eventually I got them to disappear. And I put some putty inside the lower wings where the nacelle pylons mount to make sure there wasn't glue intrusion. And it is a very snug fit, so you're going to keep the engine nacelles and the slots they go in clean. The canopy can go in at any time because it's one piece. There is no cockpit detail or internal detail, so you don't have to worry about that. Once I had everything put together on the fuselage, that's when I decided to go ahead and pop it into place, but there are some pretty significant gaps. The landing gears are very straightforward. There's 5 parts to each main gear, which is the truck and the 4 wheels, and 3 parts to the nose gear, which is the trunnion and 2 wheels. There are keys on the main landing gears. They do go in a certain way, so you can only get them in one way. Once that was all together, I went ahead and put the wings and tail on the airplane and mounted the engines and started sanding. I needed some putty on the leading edges to fill in some seams, and even a wee bit on the trailing edges, a lot on the tail, and of course some around the cockpit area also. But enough sanding, enough putty, and sanding and resanding, and finally it was ready for paint. I decided to go with the all aluminum scheme. I did have to tape over the wheel well areas because they were pre-painted to keep those from getting covered with the silver paint. Basically, I made the main gear wells white and the nose gear well black. Once everything hardened, I got it up on its wheels and no real problems. Sat on the nose without any trouble with those slugs up there. Seaming up the fuselage to wing area on top was a little rough. I was using this particular photograph as my painting guide, although I was not going to go into all the different colors of anodized aluminum. I did decide to go ahead and give the upper wing that sort of chrome green look that it has. I actually probably should have done it to the horizontal stabilizer as well, but it didn't. So got that masked off and airbrushed and trimmed it up with a paint pen. And then I made a miscalculation. I had forgotten to put the black nose on it before I started decaling it. And once I was about halfway through decaling, and of course had the entire nose section decaled, that was a good move, Max. Now, this does not come with the black trim around the escape hatch that goes up to the leading edge of the wing, but there were 4 black stripe decals that I didn't see in the instructions anywhere that I assume you were supposed to do that with, and I put them on, but they weren't in the resource photo, and quite frankly, as much as I tried, they looked a little off scale. So I decided that maybe that wasn't going to be the best way to do that. But once I got around to masking off the nose, I accidentally lifted them with some tape that got out of hand. So that was on me. So I went ahead and removed them. But that's okay because now it looks more like the one in the photo. The real mistake came when I was trying to paint the trim for the black nose, the radome nose, and the paint pen, I don't know if I flicked my wrist or what, but it basically just splattered paint all over the underside of the airplane. So it took me the better part of an hour to clean that up. And my workmanship is not great. It's not until you take the photos you start seeing a lot of your blemishes that somehow you miss with the naked eye. But the kit itself is what it is. It's, again, a repop of a 1969 kit from Aurora, so it's got the deep recessed lines for all the hatches, which, by the way, they give you decals for. In fact, I had 2 extras, but I can't really knock them for that because that was the standard of the day. And when you're done with it and you get it painted up and sitting on the shelf, it actually looks pretty good. I mean, you probably won't win any awards with it if you take it to a competition, but for a model that's going to sit on the shelf, it looks fine. And I might also add it's the relatively basic design means it's pretty good for entry-level modelers. This is an opportunity to get a very large model. It's a 1:108 scale, and most of the few C-141 Starlifter kits are 1:200 or smaller. There are a couple of larger scale ones out there. But this one's also very affordable with a roughly $30 price point. So this is a honest kit about being what it is. And it's an interesting subject matter. There's only a handful of companies that even make the A model, and most of them are just repops of the old Dragon kit. So here's a low-cost alternative that makes a decent-looking model and is a fun, easy build. It took me 3 days to do this, half of which, of course, is waiting for things to dry. But there's no real surprises here. Like I say, you will need some putty, and you will need some patience. But other than that, straightforward, honest kit. Vintage Aurora. Had a great time building it, and would be happy to go get another one and put it in a different paint scheme. Well, guys, that's what I have on the Atlantis C-141A Starlifter by Lockheed. Now I just got to figure out where I'm going to put this beast, because even at 1:108 scale, she's pretty big. A big thanks to Atlantis for sending this kit to review. I had a great time building it, and it did a great job at dragging me back to 1969. You guys take care of yourselves, and as always, model on.